Hey, here we go. Got this question from, got a couple questions from Joey, Nine Balls, and Waffle House. They played a match. Thank you guys. They were on they did a little stream match, race to 3, and they had some questions afterwards, and they were messaging me, and I was answering them, but I said I'd knock it out on a podcast for them too. So, the question was from Waffle House, and he was asking, what do you do, because I was kind of telling him stop shooting your balls in and position the balls around and things like that. And he was asking me a little bit about strategy and things like that. And it's interesting. So I'll just try to take it from beginner to like advanced play and kind of talk through strategy, okay? Because 8-ball's a strategy game. It's completely a strategy game. There's execution, of course, right? Pool is an execution game too, but 8-ball's a lot of strategy. It's a lot about choosing the right shots and knowing how to get advantages for yourself, right? So it's kind of a knowledge game, a strategy game, a knowledge about strategy, and then being able to kind of execute those strategies. So in general, I have a whole 2-hour series on 8-ball, okay, that I had in the past that I don't have access to right now that I might get access back to. Long story short, I don't know if we're ever going to have that again, but it's a sick class, and I developed it, and it was just sort of a soup to nuts 2-hour presentation on how to play 8-ball. So I'm going to try to remember the concepts. Obviously, I know the concepts. I play with those concepts every time I play 8-ball, but it's gonna be a little less organized because I just kind of wanted to fire this off for Waffles and Joey, Nine Balls, and you guys. So it's a strategy game, okay? Now, basically, because Waffles was asking me, what do I do when I get to the table? What do I do? Because he wants to know what to do. So let's say, okay, you break the balls, and then you start thinking. And basically the first thing you look for is the correct group. And the way you're going to look for the correct group is balls that are blocking pockets and balls that are blocked. Okay. We're also going to look for clusters, balls that are in clusters. And within those clusters, there might be an advantage. Like maybe a stripe goes in 2 pockets and a solid doesn't go in any pockets, or goes only in 1 pocket. And there's some traffic around to even get on that ball. So you sort of have to like analyze the amount of pockets that each ball goes into of each group, and which pockets they go into, and how do the other balls lead to it. And it's a lot, right? But in general, to keep it simple, we'll just say when you break the balls, you're going to look and see, are there stripes that are blocking pockets and solids that are clustered and blocked? And I think every time they broke, I was able to like find a good group. And it doesn't guarantee you're going to win the game, but it really increases your chances, especially when you're, as you progress more through pool and get better at running balls and things. But for now, let's just say the simplest thing to do is in your training, break and look and see what's blocked and what's blocking and what group has an advantage. Okay, so at least you don't have to be perfect at it. You just need to start thinking in those terms. Okay, that's like the biggest thing. So if you're watching games at league and you're not even involved in the match, just break and watch when they break and try to determine what the better group is. What's blocking and what's blocked. Okay, and what's clustered and what's open, and how many of them are clustered and how many of them are open. Okay, things like that. So trying to determine the right group is the first step, right? And then from there at like a beginner level, I guess what you would do, if you're basically under 450, you're kind of just going to race to the 8-ball. I've tried it the other way and I don't know. Okay, so let's fast forward to over 450 to like 550, 500, 550, 600, 650. The biggest mistake people make is they shoot their balls in randomly. Okay, that's what happened with the match from Waffles and Joey, Nine Balls. It was basically a game of whoever got to the table first, and those racks were unrunnable. Each break they broke, the rack was almost unrunnable. There was one rack that Waffles could have maybe ran out, but he kind of played the pattern wrong and whatever. Even so, it would have been a really hard rack to run out. But he could have maybe done it. But let's just say that they played 3 racks and all of them were basically unrunnable. Well, what happened was Waffle got to the shot first and ran off balls. And then Joey came up and either didn't have a shot, played a safety, maybe played a safety, or just kind of got lucky and missed the shot, which allowed Waffles to shoot 2 or 3 more of the balls off the table. So then by the time they sort of like, I shoot, you shoot, like I was saying in the video, it was 3 games, I think, where there was a ball count advantage for Joey, and Waffles was at a disadvantage, because what happens is if you have more balls on the table, you're at an advantage. And this is like a overall strategy to 8-ball. If you have 5 balls on the table and you're solids and there's 2 stripes in the 8-ball, this guy's at a huge advantage. And the reason why is because you can play safeties behind those balls. There's multiple balls that you can get on to get position on the other 5 balls. A lot of times, especially like an amateur pool, when you watch, these 2 balls are going to be in trouble because all 5 of the other balls that the guy had got ran off. So the 2 balls that are left are usually tied up. So usually this dude's in a really good advantage. These balls are usually maybe against a rail or over here, and you kind of have free reign to just kind of put those balls in, okay, and hide behind them. And also, when this guy misses, there's more chance that those lanes are going to be blocked for the other person with 2 balls to get at it. So they seem to get a lot luckier when they have more balls on the table because there's more traffic, okay, and it's their traffic, all right? So this is hard for people to understand, especially when they're starting out in pool, because it's hard enough to pocket balls. They just want to sort of get to the 8-ball and play pool, and I get it. So there's a certain level that you start at, and I'm starting to see, like with Ami plays pool, right? And he was going to play leagues, and he plays some matches, and I'm basically like, I just need him to race to the 8-ball. There's just having him have strategy when he can't like play cue ball accurately and can't pocket balls reliably, and he's not playing against anybody that really does that either, well, then he should just put his chips in and just try to make balls, right? And just kind of have fun and play pool, all right? And so that's the way I approach him playing pool, is I'm like, because when I try to teach him too much stuff and he doesn't have the capability to execute those things, but he's aware of how to do it, then he was getting sort of frustrated. And I'm like, nah, I don't want him to do that. I want him just to play pool, have fun. Who cares? Let's get these skills up, and then we'll worry about strategy later, okay? Yeah, so when you're sort of beginner to like been playing for about a year or so, and when I did this with Nancy too, Nancy and I tried to teach her the concepts of pool, these like save your balls, position them in front of the holes, things like that. But the challenge is she didn't really have the execution to run 5, 6, 7 balls when they're open. So she was always feeling like she was, I would imagine, we didn't break it down too bad or too in depth, but I'm sure if she got into a position where she had 6 solids and her opponent had 1 ball and the 8-ball, she probably felt anxious. Like they're almost done with their game and I've got all these balls to shoot in and it takes me a while to shoot all these balls in, and she's right. And that does make sense, okay? Now, if I was coaching Nancy, and I'll tell a story about that. If I was able to go and tell Nancy what shot to shoot and where to hit it, she would be at a really big advantage, even at her skill level with 6 balls on the table and one of their balls trapped and the 8-ball left on the table. She could get through that, but it would take coaching and knowledge and a depth of understanding that she doesn't have to win from that position. So I kind of went the same route with Nancy after a while, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just have you race to the 8-ball and just try to lean on your ball pocketing and whatever, and try to add some safeties and some things. So let's just say beginner to like 450. I'm just picking numbers. Because I have a 450 that I worked with that I saw that he was capable of running open balls once I kind of showed him some strategy on how to run open balls. And once you get to 450, you can kind of hit stop shots and roll shots and draw shots a little bit, and you can kind of pocket balls. So I'd say beginner to 450, just race to the 8-ball. And now race to the 8-ball means just randomly shoot balls. They're going to randomly shoot balls. You're going to randomly shoot balls. Now, the thing that you can do, okay, to put yourself in an advantage, you might not have a strategic advantage because you can't really execute the strategies that are more advanced, meaning saving the balls, getting in a 5 to 6 to 1 position, and then torturing a person and winning the game with safeties and things, and good decision making and run out pool. So since that's not in play, then really what you should focus on up to 450 is not running out racks or running out full racks or even half racks. It should be 1 or 2 balls in the 8-ball, and they should be set up, and you should work on 1 ball in the 8-ball. Put one on each side, on a side rail and an end rail, and work on those position plays, okay? So it would be an 8-ball here, a cute 1 ball here, and work on trying to do those 2-ball runouts with ball in hand. Because what's going to happen is if you're playing under 450 pool and you're playing in leagues, you're going to get ball in hand with 1 or 2 balls left on the table and the 8-ball, and the higher you can convert that, the more you're going to, win and enjoy playing pool, because lulls, everybody wants to win. Okay, so let's try to win games, right? Let's try to figure out the best strategy for where you're at in your game under 450. And the best strategy is, can you somehow figure out a way to run 2 balls out, meaning the 8-ball and another ball with ball in hand? And if you can figure that out, then add another ball to that run out, okay? So say you got the 8-ball here, a stripe here, you're gonna hit a shot and try to play position to here for the 8-ball, okay? That's like your first run out that you're gonna do. So you're gonna mark this ball stripe here, this 8-ball here, you're gonna take ball in hand and do it. Okay, then what you're gonna do for training is you're going to put another stripe here, and you're going to mark it. And then you're going to take ball in hand, you're going to try to hit a stop shot and play position for this shot and up to that shot. And now you're running 3 balls. And you're going to build your confidence running 3 balls, because you're going to hit a stop shot, which you have to practice. You're going to hit a rolling shot back that you've already developed. And now you're going to work on pocketing the 8 under pressure. So you're just going to build little runouts that way. That's it. That's how you're going to do it. And if you want to get really fancy, you leave these marks here. You take this mark here, you move it over here, you put the cue ball here, and you bounce off the rail and play shape to here, over to here, and back up. So there's just different ways you can play those 3-ball runs. And that's what I would work on. I would work on just perpetually working on shots, of course, but these little marked runouts of kind of getting used to like running out 2 or 3 balls and running out 2 or 3 balls and running out 2 or 3 balls, okay? And that's what I would do if I was under 450, okay? Now I've got 3,000 games marked of Ghost on my wall behind the camera there. And that's what I did, and I'm not saying it was effective. I got into the comments with somebody on Ghost Pool and stuff, and that's what I did like maybe 5-6 years ago before I really knew how to train. And it was a lot of Ghost Pool, and it was 8-ball Ghost. So I'd break 9-ball, take 1 off the table, 8 balls, ball in hand, okay? And I would play Ghost and Ghost and Ghost and Ghost and Ghost. And the reason why is because I knew that if I went out to a professional tournament and I could run 8 open balls on a tight table, it was gonna be very difficult for most people to beat me. And each level of pool has that number, okay? So there was a tournament that we hosted back in the day, and it was like a 625 and under. And we were on 4 1/4 9-foot diamonds playing 10-ball. And I said before it went, I said to myself and a couple people behind the scenes, I said, the person that's going to win this tournament is the person that can consistently run 4 balls. Consistently run 4 balls, especially the 6, 7, 8, 9, or the 7, 8, 9, 10. If you could run the 7, 8, 9, 10, you could crush that tournament. And that was, and I said that to some people and they didn't really understand what I was saying. And they were thinking 625s, they can run racks. They can run racks. And I'm like, not 10 ball, even 9 ball. Okay. Not 9 ball either. Doesn't matter 9 ball or 10 ball, honestly, at 625. They're not running racks, especially on 4 1/4 diamonds. Ain't happening. I would say if you had a 16-person tournament, I would say that if somebody broke, I would say the high rack run is 1 for that tournament. And if you would have bet me, if I would have had to bet on that tournament, I would have said, if it was 10 ball, I would have said almost no chance someone's running a rack in that tournament, 625 and under. And if it's 9 ball, I mean, weird things can happen. So I'd say, yeah, maybe. But it wasn't, but the way I was listening to the people that were going to play in the tournament is that they were thinking they were going to rain packages. And it was like so far off from reality in my experience, right? And I was like, no, it's a 4 ball. It's a 4 ball run out game. Okay. And so every level you could look at and say, what's the amount of balls to get to be competitive that you need to run? And to me, at a professional level, if you can run out 8 open balls, you're doing pretty well. And it's very funny because I got hill with a guy at Derby after I hit those 3,000 racks and of 8 ball. And we were hill. He was a 750. We were in the money a couple rounds or whatever in the 9 ball. And he broke and he missed and left me 8 open balls. And I had 3,000 practice games behind me, and I was shitting my pants, and I ran out and beat him on the hill. So it was pretty cool because, it doesn't always have to work that way. But part of me going up there was like, well, let's test the theory. If I can run 8 open balls, and I ran 8 open balls and beat him on the hill, and it was really cool. So what I'm saying is, this is something I believe, it's something I've experienced and something I've seen. And that tournament played out that way. I did commentary for that tournament. I watched the matches and nobody ran more than 4 balls. And I've watched a lot of pool in that 600 range, okay, especially on tight equipment. And yeah. So who cares? Let's talk about 8 ball. We're talking about strategy. So in 8 ball, the person that can run, let's call it 3 balls in the 8 ball, 1, 2, and run the 8 ball, that person is going to be a dominant beginner to like intermediate type of player. Like, let's say like up to 400 Fargo, right? Because there's some 400s that I train that don't have to run out with ball in hand and 3 balls on the table and a bar table, especially if there's space between them. And they're right around 400, okay? So I'd say up to 450, it's just whatever. I mean, that's 450 is a little high for that number, but let's just say that, and you can make up whatever, or you can think about whatever number you want in your head, but I'm just saying, maybe you add a ball for every 25 or 30 Fargo points, but it's like up to like, if you're if you're a 350, if you can run 2 balls, and you're playing another 350 and you guys race to the 8 ball and you get down, and like every game's going to get down to where you each have a ball in the 8 ball. If you're the guy or gal that can make those 2 balls under pressure and be comfortable knowing that I'm okay with 2 balls on the table and I can run out, just like I hit 3,000 games with 8 balls on the table. And when I broke and the guy missed and I had 8 balls on the table, I'm like, shit, I mean, I think I can do this, even though there's a ton of pressure. There was a lot of pressure. I was right on the edge table. There was a ton of people watching, hill. In the money, like I said, whatever. So what I'm saying is, no matter the amount of pressure, if you can figure out a way to run 2 balls, you're going to race down to the 8 ball with the other person that's an beginner intermediate player that's a 350 Fargo, and you are going to kill them. You're going to crush them, right? And then as you move up the ranks of the level of play, you just add more balls to that ability. That's it. And then when you get this, then once you add strategy, forget about it. Then it's a whole other ball game. But for now, let's just say Waffles, figure out how many balls you can run with the 8 up to like 80%. Okay, so if it's 2 balls, 3 balls, 4 balls, 5 balls, 6 balls, I don't know. But, you know, take 2 balls, stripe in a 8, throw them out, and do it that way. Or set up, no, don't do it that way. Set a marked run out. Set a marked run out. And I want you to run these marked run outs 80%, 80%. I don't want the random layouts. I want the marked run outs because I want you to hit the same shot and I want you to learn while you're doing it. I want you just trying to play ghost. Scratch what I just said. But do the marked run outs, meaning like put a stripe here and an 8 ball there and figure out your best path. Maybe you just want to bunt it forward and shoot the long shot up at the 8. Maybe you want to cut it up here and put the 8 cue ball there for the 8. Who knows? But work on it, develop it, try to find some 60 to 80% success in those areas and then move on to the next shot and develop that shot over time and then just race to the 8 ball. And know that if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 balls left, you're good once they get open. Okay. So now let's talk once you get past that 450 range. Okay, now at that 450 range, we're talking probably run a good 4 to 5 balls, I would guess. I'm kind of speculating a little bit, but 4 or 5 balls in the 8 ball, you can kind of figure it out, okay? So I would kind of do the same thing, but then I would try to add strategy to say, how do I get to the point where I have 4 or 5 balls left and my opponent has 1 ball in the 8 ball left? The way I do it is I stop shooting in my balls. By the time you get to be around 450, you got to stop shooting in your balls. There is not a race to the 8 ball. You have to let your opponent race to the 8 ball and run out of track. Because I'm telling you, there's this whole way to play 8 ball of clearing your trouble first and getting untroubled balls and doing all that stuff. And I have talked to people and talked to people and talked to people, and they swear to God they play 8 ball that way, and they do not. They don't. They just don't. I played a guy in league. He was a 145 and a 150 is the highest rating. Plus they do some other stuff too if you're a professional level player, but over 150. But basically, let's say it's a 150. So this guy's a 145, and he did not know or do these basic things that I'm trying to explain to you. He was just a more refined I shoot, you shoot guy. Okay? So I shoot, you shoot goes all the way up to a professional level understanding of bar table. I'm going to say that. I've seen 680 Fargos not understand 8 ball, clearing your trouble, how to play a pattern, you know, when to shoot a ball, when not to shoot a ball, when to shoot balls in, when not to shoot balls in. I've seen it. I've seen it many, many, many times. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to trust me, and I'm going to say, if you just are calm and you let your opponent shoot in the balls when they're not runnable, you will get back to the table and you'll be at a huge advantage. And so just please try it, okay? I watched Waffles and Joey play, and I'm like, man, and I was saying it, Joey was missing some banks and doing some things, and I'm like, man, he got lucky to miss that shot because he stopped shooting in his balls. And Waffles was shooting in balls. And I was talking about during the commentary, I'm like, Waffles is just shooting in his balls, and he's got a cluster of balls that aren't going to go anywhere, and Joey's going to have these open balls, right? And that's exactly what happened. 1, 2, 3 games. It was like rinse, repeat, right? So once you get past that point of 450 to like 700, you got to stop shooting in your balls, and you got to just work on building up the amount of balls you can run that are open. And you have to let your opponent shoot the balls in. Let them shoot them in. Play some safeties. Don't shoot your balls in. Save them. You need that material. And play that style game. And then when you're not shooting the balls in, start positioning them, right? So if you have a stripe down here, let's call that a stripe, and you can't make it in the cue balls here, don't just push this on top of the cue ball and leave them a shot. Push this over so it's on this side, okay? In 8 ball, most of the time, this is a bad spot, this is a good spot. And the reason why is because your only safety's here and it leaves a short bank, likely. Now over here, you have the entire side of the table that's awesome, right? You can leave them up there. There's all kinds of places you can leave them where they can't make it. There's like this huge area where they can't make this ball, right? They can bank it, but especially as it gets over here at that angle, they can't bank it anyways. It could only miracle cut it, or if it's, you know, if the cue ball was here and here, they're not banking that. They have to make a miracle cut, which they're not going to do. So in 8-ball, this is a bad position. This is a good position for a ball, okay? So if you're playing, oh, here we go. And like I said, the balls are here. Playing a safety and leaving this here, yeah, that looks really cool until dude chips his ball and puts the cue ball down on the end rail and this thing's frozen still here. So really the shot is to get this over here. Let's say the 8-ball's way up off screen. Like this is a much better position. This is a much better position. This is a great position. So, but if you have to choose between here and here, put it over here. But try to get it out in this zone here in front of the pocket, obviously. So a lot of 8-ball is about positioning the balls and not making them. You're trying to position them, right? And a lot of it is pace, right? So you don't want to be hitting the ball super hard in 8-ball because you need to understand where this thing's going to end up. And that happened yesterday too. These guys, Joey's like a 500, and I don't remember what Waffles said he was. He shoots good. Well, Waffles, you're a good shot, man. I like your game. I don't know what your Fargo is. I thought you said something like 350, but maybe you were just, maybe I'm confusing with somebody else or whatever. You look like you shoot way better than that, so sorry. But the point is that when you shoot super hard, this ball goes bouncing out into space, right? And this is a really important thing. We have to be aware of where these balls go. Waffles had a shot where he hit it and did some breakout in the first game, almost the first shot he had, where I looked after the fact and I'm like, I knew that those balls did not need to get broken out and they did not need to be touched. And he hit it and it like blasted the stripe up and like killed the game for him. I mean, he actually had a runnable rack, like I said, but once he blasted in without really understanding you don't want to be touching balls and moving them around, he created a big problem for himself. And then he shot in a bunch of balls, and then, like I said, Joey had easy pickings. So, but Joey executes really well too. So good job, Joey. So that's it. So a lot of times it's stop shooting the balls in, please, and start positioning the balls. Okay, those are a couple tips, okay? And then, let's see what else. I don't want to sit here and spend all night talking about this stuff. I just want to give you guys some quick hitters. So stop shooting your balls in. Practice running out a number of balls. And then when you get to the table and you have that position where your opponent's got a ball in a bad spot and you got 5 open balls in the 8-ball, you can start working. You can start running out. And if the balls aren't available to run out, then play a safety and try to move some stuff and position some stuff. So a lot of 8-ball is, people think pocket balls race to the 8, but it's save them and position them and have them so that they're available to run out, okay? So that's it. And then work on your open table run out game with stop roll patterns and all that stuff. So that's basically it. Okay, and now I'm gonna give you my recap as to why 8-ball is a knowledge game. Okay, so I have a story. There's always a story where I win, right? A hero story. So Nancy and I set up a tournament, okay? And it was gaffy because I made it so there was coaching on every shot. And I was like, I'm going to play this tournament. It's going to be Scotch doubles, and I'm going to coach on every single shot. And it's no handicap. No handicap, races to 3, and 8-ball on a bar table, and no Fargo cap. And Nancy had been playing pool for less than a year. She had a 100 Fargo rating, and I was just around 7, whatever I was. So we're about a combined 800-ish Fargo. And every other team in the field was, higher rated than us. And spoiler, I told you hero story, Nancy and I won the tournament. We won the tournament. And the reason why is because even though Nancy was 100 Fargo, and I was able to have her select shots that worked for us. And I was able to save the balls, okay? Now, the people we were playing that were higher rated, we played a team that was 1,200 Fargo, okay? Roughly. Something like that, right around 1,200. So they're 400 Fargo points higher than us. We played them in the finals. And we got them. It went hill, and we got them. And we won the tournament. And it was because I watched them shoot their balls in. And they kept shooting their balls in and giving us an advantage. Because then if I get to the table and I have 5 or 6 open balls and I've got 100 Fargo, if there's stripes down here and everything's open and good for us to go, like I can pick the pattern so that Nancy could kind of dink the ball in. And she made some really nice shots too. She shot really great that tournament, really great. But the whole point is, and that's what I was trying to tell Waffles and Joey last night, is that I sent him a message. It's like, if you give me a player that's a 450 and they play a 550, but I get to tell them every single shot what to shoot, we're probably gonna win. Okay, yeah, because I made up 400 Fargo points with Nancy, and that happened, right? And so that's what I'm saying. It's such a knowledge game, right? When you know what to shoot and what not to shoot, it's a huge advantage, okay? It's a massive advantage, and you can always get yourself in these higher percentage positions with 8-ball, and that's why I really love the game. I think it's such a fascinating game. I used to poo-poo bar tables, and I was like, bar tables, blah. And I do, okay, so I still do feel that way, but if you like playing it, I love teaching it. That's the way I look at it. Do I like playing bar table 8-ball? No, I don't. I like playing big table. I don't enjoy bar table 8-ball playing it. Like, I like doing reels where I break and run out in 60 seconds with my break cue. I like doing that video where I ran like 12 out of 15. Like, that's kind of fun, right? But do I like going to bar table tournaments? No. Do I, I was gonna go play McCluskey some bar table 8-ball. That'd have been cool. But in general, it's like, it's not my thing. But I'm fascinated by the game, and I created a clinic, and I know the game, and I've watched so much of it by doing commentary, and we're going to continue to do commentary like I did with Waffles and Joey. So I love it. I love the game, and I love teaching it. So let's go. But yeah, that's it. But whatever, it's still a bar table. LOL, bar tables. But that's what people play, so that's good. And I love it. It's cool. And I want to help you guys. I want to help you guys learn how to play bar table 8-ball, because that's really kind of my jam, is to teach that game. I can teach you guys a bunch of stuff, and I have been teaching you stuff on the 9-footer for sure, but bar table 8-ball, I'm excited to get these streams going, because I see people just continually do the same thing over and over and over again, and I watch it all the way up to like 700, honestly. And there's just a lot to know about the game that people just don't know. And so the whole point is, like, if you can know those things, right, it can make up it's like, which twin has the Tony? It's like that rich can be arranged. Like, if you have the knowledge in bar table 8-ball and you understand the strategy, it's very, very, very good. It's kind of like, one pocket is kind of that way in some ways, but shooters shoot in one pocket, and shooters can outshoot knowledge in one pocket, and they can do it in 8-ball too. I get it, but like, it really comes down to knowledge, though, in both games, but 8-ball especially. It's really a knowledge game, and it's pretty cool. So Anyways, stop shooting your balls in. Work on running and building up your confidence to run with open balls. As you progress up the ranks, you're going to want to be able to run more and more balls, and you will be able to run more and more balls, but you got to train it, you got to practice it, you got to understand the value of it. And we're just trying to position the game as best we can to get into an advantage where they have less balls on the table, we have more balls, whatever that number is, okay? And at the beginning, just race to the end and be the first one to run 2 balls, the ball and the 8 ball, or just pocket the 8 ball, work on pocketing the 8 ball, put the 8 ball up. You could do that too if you're really, really a beginner. Use the 8 ball, no other balls, and just get used to pocketing the 8 ball. It's like visual training. I've done that in 9 ball. I've made videos on it in the past. It's like I do a ton of visual work, okay? So pocketing the 8 ball and training the 8 ball at a beginner level is huge. It's big at an intermediate level and even advanced level, even professional level. I do with 9 balls. I do it with 9 ball or 10 ball, whatever game I'm playing. I will shoot the ball, the money ball, to get comfortable. It's a thing, right? So it's always a good thing, all right? And then we'll just work on safeties, figure out safeties in the future and different things with 8 ball. But for now, this will get us started. And hopefully this was fun to watch, or you picked up some stuff. It was kind of me riffing on 8 ball a little bit, and that's it. So, okay, we'll see you next time. I love you guys. Bye.